So Tilly was experimenting with a fava bean population, which is really exciting because nobody grows vegetable proteins really in the Dyfi Valley. So fava beans are really exciting because it's a plant-based protein that people can eat. And then she was also experimenting with it being a population, which is really exciting because what that means is she mixed many different varieties of fava beans together. So there was like a really broad genetic diversity in the fava bean population, which gives it way more resilience to like changing climate or like pests and diseases. So that's kind of double whammy of experimentation really, like plant-based protein and genetic diversity by growing a population. And then what's exciting about Tilly's project is she succeeded in growing a fava bean crop, harvesting it, processing it, and then packaging it up into bags and actually selling it as like a dried bean that people could buy and eat locally. And I know there was a lot of exciting stuff happened around, so they were making fava bean falafels, and Tilly also had a fava bean focus group to find out what did other people think of fava beans, what sort of qualities were they looking for in the beans, so that she could continue developing that population and selecting the traits that people wanted and then growing the seed the following year, which would be like closer to the traits that people wanted from their fava beans. And also she was doing a lot of stuff with like getting people to taste fava beans and look at like different recipes that they could use locally grown fava beans in. So I think, yeah, there's an exciting future for fava bean growing in the Dyfi Valley.
I'm Tilly. I've been working as a market gardener for the last 4 years, and I came to Machynlleth to study at CAT, studying an MSc in Sustainable Food and Natural Resources, and I wanted to find a way of meeting the protein needs of the UK that use less land, and to reduce the need for imports like soya, and to reduce the amount of meat that we eat in the UK. I decided to explore fava beans because they grow very well in our climate. They're a really good protein source. They can grow in quite acidic soils, so they're good for Welsh climate. And yeah, I've been growing them on a small scale, but I wanted to scale that up and see if I could meet the needs of the local community. So I came across the Tyfu Dyfi funding, which I wouldn't have been able to scale up without that. And last year I sowed I think it was 100 metres squared of beans as a trial. So I wasn't just growing a commercial variety, I wanted to breed my own sort of modern land race, so like a widely genetically diverse population. So I got 8 different varieties of that I thought would suit this climate specifically, of the spring bean, and some which had been grown in the local area already, and I sowed them all together so that they could cross-pollinate in the field, and I could create an even wider genetically diverse population. So field beans have a pollination, like self-pollination, of about 50%. So the flowers have both the male and the female parts in them, so they will self-pollinate. So, but they're 50% cross-pollination, which means that they'll pollinate between flowers. So, for instance, bees really like bean flowers. So when different plants cross between each other, you get a more genetic outcome. Having a wide genetic base is so important for the resilience of our crops. If you've got broader genetics, then you're more likely to come across resilience to different diseases and resilience to climate change. So it's really important that we rebreed diversity back into our crops. We've lost so much diversity over the last sort of mostly 100 years in the Green Revolution. So I ran a focus group with a group of local growers and local retailers, including other Dyfi field trial participants. And I talked about the beans that I'm growing, and I wanted to engage people who knew a lot about the climate, who knew a lot about the market, and sort of tap into their knowledge to make decisions on how to breed the bean and how to select it. From the focus group, I identified key traits that growers wanted from a local bean, as well as learning a history of the climate in this area. And I used those to identify traits that I would select for in the bean population. It was really interesting to learn from experienced growers who really know the climate here, and to understand the history of growing in the Dyfi Valley. So on the small scale that I grew this year, I didn't have a way of mechanically harvesting them, so I got the community to come in and I talked to them about the project, and we talked about beans and the possibility of beans, and I also learnt from them and their growing, the history of growing beans in the area, and we picked them together. So we waited till the crop was dry and the beans were dried on the plant, so they'd blackened and shriveled and they were ready to pick. So with these beans I actually hand threshed them, which was a really long process. I kept some of the beans on to sow this year, so I'll be sowing, I have 3 kilos left to sow, so I'll bulk out the crop, and the rest I sold to through Lleol and Tatus, our local grocery store. And there was lots of demand for them. People were really excited about them. They all got bought up really quickly. It's a really good winter food source when there's less in the ground. It's a really good protein source. But a lot of them go towards animal feeds, and a lot of them are exported to countries that have more beans in their diet. So this year I'll be growing an acre of beans with the help of Dyfi. And so that will be bulking out the remaining seed that I've got from last year, so create a second generation of the bean population, so create even more diversity, and I will also buy, to meet local demand, which there seems like there's a lot of, I will buy in a commercial variety. It was really satisfying to sell the beans to feed the community. It's such a substantial crop. It's got such good protein content. It's a really healthy product. It was really satisfying to be able to supply that to people.